I guess I'll save these nerds for after.
Yep, definitely save those nerds for after. Right now we're at episode 9 and we are live. I'm with Rob, keeping McLean. And without our tech, without our hostess with the Moses Miranda Gagne, we're suffering a little bit, but at the same time, we stand alone. This episode is called Can You Hear Me Now? Well, we'll plug in our sponsors and pay some bills a little bit later, but Rob McLean, the people have been waiting. We'll have special guest Patrick Dietz, coach of College of Mount St. Vincent, talk about the state of the NCAA on the East Coast. Yeah, I know you remember him. So, first topic is just recently the IOC, the Olympic Committee, has announced that the Tokyo Games will be postponed, with the new goal being summer of 2021. And this marks the first time that the games were postponed or canceled during peacetime. So, Rob, was this decision made a little late, or was the timing perfect?
Um, it's pretty interesting you say that because I think it was perfect timing. So a lot of people actually were saying that the Olympic Committee is like a beacon for, for people to strive towards something better. So if you have a situation where the world is looking a little bit on the grim side. You want to have something to look forward to. So it's great to have that as an ideal. But in reality, it's the worst possible situation that a virus would pop up like that, where you have all these athletes coming into a certain location. After that, after whatever happens, they're all going to leave, and it's all shorter than a 2-week period that they're all there, for their respective sports. So it's just it's really bad situation, and it stinks. But at least they didn't cancel it; they postponed it. So there's hope, and I'm hoping that good things will come in the future in the next couple months, and we can move forward to start getting ready for the next Olympics game.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing for me, Rob. A lot of people are like, oh, they're a little late in the house because all the other sports cancel it, but they also have to take into consideration some things. One, people are predicting this virus is going to stick around for a long time, but they don't know how long. So I always err on the side of caution that it's better to keep the event and cancel it than to cancel the event and then you're scrambling to try to keep it again. So it's one of those things where it seemed like the IOC was insensitive to people's health and what was going on in the world, but I think they did the completely logical thing, and it's very. I mean, I know it's a risky thing to say that because people, when you say that, they assume that you don't care about people, and that's not what's going on here. All right, the whole thing of long live sport and how the show goes on is. Who the hell is that? Oh, Patrick's calling me. We gotta tell Patrick. We'll wait. I don't even know how to reject that call.
You gotta slow your roll, Patty.
Yeah, Patrick. If somebody tell Patrick to hang up. we're live right now. So it's one of those things where I wish I knew how to do this. All right, let's see if I actually hold that thought. I want to see if I can get Patrick in on this. It's the strangest thing. Our show's been infiltrated.
Infiltrated. Everything is nowadays.
Patrick, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's up, buddy? What's good, Patrick?
I have you on speakerphone. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. Let's see if I can turn it up. Can you hear me now?
A little bit better.
Cool. Hey, Patrick, what's up, man? I got Rob McLean in the house.
What's up, Rob?
He said, "What's up, Rob?"
What up, Patty? How you doing, man?
All right, cool. So
Good, man.
Cool. So it's good to know. Good that Rob can hear you. Or I don't know if you heard Patrick.
No, I can't hear him.
All right, no problem. So Patrick, the first topic where I wanted to get a little East Coast pulse, but since you joined in on the conversation, stay with us. The question was the the Olympic Committee announced that the Tokyo Games will be postponed, with the new goal being the summer of 2021. And this marks the first time in Olympic Games that it was postponed or canceled during peacetime. And the question is, Rob, was it timely? I mean, not Rob or Patrick, was it timely or was it a little late in the house?
It's timely. I mean, if you look at the climate of the situation, how everything was the way everything had unfolded, basically, the envelope, the Pandora's box is open, and the whole sheboygan. They were hoping that the mass of the pandemic or the epidemic at least in Asia would have subsided. But now it's looking like it's not going to subside, at least in the foreseeable future, till December. And when I say December, I'm not being pessimistic. I'm not being nihilistic in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying that because you're looking at all the possible new cases of people who were quarantined, who are now going to come out and get tested to make sure that they're not sick, that they don't have the disease, and then we're going to fall back a little bit, and we're going to excel, and blah, 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 bliggity, blah. And, of course, after all that's said and done, folks are going to get vaccinated, and then it's, oh, hey, let's try to get back to normal life. And that's where we're going to fall. By the way, sorry for not saying this. Thank you, by the way, for having me on the show. When you called me earlier to ask me to be on, I was like, what? All right, cool, I'll do it.
So, Rob, do me a favor. Give Miranda you can go headphones on the Facebook Live in case you can't hear Patrick. If you can't hear Patrick, you just go one set of headphones from Miranda, on hers. Yeah. So you go right ear me, left ear Patrick. So Patrick, what I was saying when you called in was I thought I share your sentiment. I thought it was timely in a sense that it's easier to cancel something. To hold something than cancel it than it is to cancel it and try to scramble and redo it. Like what's happening with this virus. Some people say it's going to take a long time. Some people could say it's going to take a longer than long time. And the IOC is no stranger to letting the show go on and catastrophic events. I bring your attention to Munich in the 1972 Olympics when there was a terrorist attack on Israel. They shut down for one day and then the next day the show went on. This, of course, is more significant because this is on a more global scale. But should they have canceled it? Yes. Were they too late? And the answer is absolutely not. For both of you guys, 1916, 1940, and 1944 was World Wars I and World Wars II, and that was the only times that it's been canceled or postponed. So that was the answer to that. Thoughts, Patrick?
What was that?
I said thoughts.
Thoughts. Well, okay. So let's ballpark it, or I'm going to try to ballpark it as best I can. And I'm gonna use this little anecdote because it's something that literally just came up. So a mutual friend of ours, RJ from Central Park, posted in the Central Park webpage, "Hey, look at this thing that's being said on the courts." I'm going to generalize it. The courts are open, but not to groups, and someone had made a comment, and I had gone in there and defended RJ because RJ's statement, though it was general, was pretty poignant. Is it open, but is it closed? Is it allowed for groups, or is it something that we're not supposed to do at all?
So for the people at home, we're talking about Central Park volleyball, about shutting down the court.
Central Park, yeah, we have the two courts in the Central Park Mall there. There's a way to do things and explain it explicitly, and then there's a way to do things and just leave things vague. And that's basically what I went and explained. It's like, hey, there is a vagueness in this sign. There's a vagueness in this explanation, basically saying, oh, hey, the courts are open, but not groups. But this thing here, this particular space is designed for groups. Is two people considered a group? Can two people come in, pepper, walk out, hit a couple of balls, and leave and not be bullied and not be, I don't want to use bullied, but, be forced out of what they're doing? Or is it just one person who's going to be there with a volleyball, jump serving like 70 times, hitting a ball off a net, passing to themselves? what's their purpose of being there? They're not doing anything, so make it more explicit. That's what the IOC just did. They were like, hey, we're making this explicit. No Olympics this year. We're going to wait till next year. We're going to reset the schedule, and we're going to go. And from that point on, we're going to go the best we can and do the way we should as we know. And that's it. And we leave it at that.
Definitely. All right. Good job. Rob, are you on a 4-second delay from the Facebook one? I just lost your audio, Rob. Oh man, Patrick, I just lost Rob's audio. I can see him, but I can't hear him.
No, Rob's there. I see his face. I think he's back.
There it is.
I just had 20 seconds off. So yeah.
Sorry about that.
My best.
So Rob, let's skip the subject topics and let's just since I got Patrick on the line, we could talk about what's going on there. Okay.
Okay.
All right, Patrick. Right now you're the head coach of College of Mount St. Vincent. Am I correct? And also with Cali Club Volleyball.
Yeah. So for the past 6 years, going on 7 now, I've been with Club Ace Long Island, Cali. I've been a coach with them for a while. I was the interim head coach at Mount St. Vincent this year because the head coach, Courtney Bernstein, congratulations, had her third baby just at the beginning of this season. So I jumped in because Mount St. Vincent to me is home. I love going back there. I've had to make decisions of leaving there when I didn't want to, or when life had presented other opportunities. But I will always go back to Mount St. Vincent because it is home to me. And I decided to go back there this year. And we were having an up and down year, typical for a small school like Mount St. Vincent. And
Actually, I wasn't trying to sell the school as much as I was trying to talk about when the coronavirus hit and at what point in your spring season. So, Patrick, take us back to the day where they shut you guys down. Where were you guys when it was happening? And what were you doing when it was happening?
Holy cow, that is a great question. So,
you could hear?
They canceled us was actually 2 days before we were going to host our last homestand match on campus. I believe we were going to play Yeshiva that Thursday. No, actually, we were going to go to Yeshiva, I believe. We were going to play Yeshiva at Yeshiva that Thursday, and we get the news. We get the news that because of what was going on with Yeshiva at the time, because that's around the time that we had discovered there was a student on the Yeshiva campus who had been diagnosed with COVID.
Oh, dear.
19, and they had shut down Yeshiva. So Yeshiva had sent us an email saying, "Hey, here's the situation. Because of this, we're gonna have to cancel." And I'm not gonna lie to you, I lost it. I was like, "Are you kidding me? Really? Okay, great." There was a possible win out the door. Greedy that I was.
Wait, with respect to Yeshiva, we know, come on, that was a win for Mount St. Vincent. Rob McLean, who's an assistant coach at Baruch College, knows that. You just show up.
But we were in good spirits. I mean, we were just coming off a really tough match with Trine, and we felt that we were in a good space, that we're going to start rolling a little bit and win a few matches. And Yeshiva was going to be our first victim. Sorry for saying it that way, but that was going to be our mindset. And then the game got canceled. And then a day later, we get word that not just Yeshiva, but 2 or 3 other schools in our conference are going to postpone games. And then we postponed games. And then we contact with someone who had COVID, so our campus shut down.
Yeah, Rob shaking his head like, "Yep."
Yes, so literally, and this was maybe 3-4 weeks ago. Like at the height of the knowledge of what was going on here in New York, when we found out about North Shore being the epicenter of the expanse of the COVID pandemic here in New York City, the New York metropolitan area, we were basically in the center of it somehow, some way, and then our campus just completely shut down. And upon our campus being shut down, our conference, was the Skyline Conference, decided we're going to cancel the men's volleyball season and all spring sports. The ironic part about it is that Yeshiva men's basketball at the time was on a historic run through the NCAA Division III men's basketball championships, and they were poised to probably make the Final Four for the Division III men's basketball season. Myself, one of the associate athletic directors and men's basketball coaches, James Mooney, we watched them play up at Johns Hopkins. Down at Johns Hopkins, and watched them play.
Yeah.
Basically ripped through a team that had been perennially ranked in Division III basketball. Oh my God, they are destroying this team. This team possibly could win a national championship. And then 3 days later, boom, everything's done.
Yeah, Rob, do you have a question?
No. I was just listening in. I mean, that's how all the sports have kind of gone this whole year for everybody.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
That is how the cookie crumbled on that. Yeah, Patrick, I talked to John Mayer yesterday, and it was almost similar. They were actually on a plane, waiting to play Grand Canyon University, and then someone just got like a message saying the PAC conference. They're not in the PAC conference. They're in the WCCs. PAC conference got shut down, and then so he called his AD or called his people, and they were getting on the plane, and they were literally saying that Arizona, like all the Arizona schools shut down, so they had to find a way to like get off the plane and come back. So glad to have Rob in this conversation, Pat, because as you remember, Rob was an assistant coach at Baruch College, so certainly no stranger to CUNY sports.
I remember when Rob left high school and went to LVCC.
Yeah, man, back in the day.
I remember back those days when Rob was still a high school kid.
Yeah, man. Yeah. To think back about it now, I can say it was about 10 years now, 15 or 10, 12 years now. So I can actually say back in those days. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. So Patrick, before you go, outside of the coronavirus, I wanted to talk about the CUNY championships. You were doing color commentary for the men's finals and the women's finals for what seems almost a decade right now, and
almost 20 years actually.
Yeah, I remember because I was the one that was doing it before you. Was me that when it was a radio broadcast, if you remember.
Exactly. You did the first 4 radio broadcasts.
Yep. And that was Hunter York somehow. I remember Titus, who's the longest tenured coach in the CUNY conference. So what you've been doing some really, really good color commentary, and I'll highlight, and Rob, bear with me on this one. I'll highlight the CUNY finals last year when I believe Hunter played Baruch, and you were citing where not just where tactically where Kevin Edwards made the adjustments, but where was it Sanchez? What's his name?
Yes, Nick Sanchez. Yes.
Where Nick Sanchez failed to make the adjustments. Is this just something that you got from just picking it up the same night, or is it something where is it something that you were just seeing on the fly?
It's something that you saw on the fly. It's literally, I mean, and I think you've had Kevin Barnett, you've talked to him, and Rob will know this, and you'll know this, because we as coaches, when we're sitting there and we're watching a game, and say we're scouting a team, we're writing down our adjustments. We're making our switches at that point, at that time, right? So as a color commentator, that's kind of my job to let the general public or let people who are watching know, hey, this is what's just happened,
right?
And let's see if the other coach realizes it, and are they going to make their secondary adjustments? Are they going to shift? I mean, one of the things that a lot of people hate but love about Bill Belichick was how he was able to constantly find a way in the second half of football games, even if his team was down by 10 points or you know, a field goal and they were struggling, he made a defensive adjustment on the fly. And you'll hear whoever it is on ESPN or whatever, Fox, they'll say, Belichick made this adjustment, and now the team is doing this. Holy cow, they've changed. And that's something that happens in our sport literally almost every other play. If you watch a high-level volleyball game, and I love watching this, if you really pay attention from set to set, coaches will switch their rotations. They'll spin their rotation dial and go, you know what, this rotation struggled against this serve receive. I'm going to rotate to this one because that's going to help me against that particular serve receive. A good example is if folks go back and watch the last time BYU played Hawaii in the home at home, where BYU flew out to Hawaii. The first night, BYU devastated Hawaii, swept them in 3.
That was a home game. Was that a home game for Hawaii?
That was a home game for Hawaii. And then the second night, BYU is still playing a pretty high level. They're making a few more mistakes, but Charlie Wade made a switch in set 3 with his serve receive, kept his sophomore setter in, and really just said, I'm going to stick to this. I'm going to go to a 4-man serve receive. I'm going to do this. I'm going to eliminate their best service ability. I'm going to put my libero dead center in the middle of the court where you got to serve him no matter what, no matter where the ball goes. It's either going to go straight down the line or right at my libero. And it worked. And Hawaii was able to rally back and win that match in 5 because of those types of adjustments. I'm not claiming to know volleyball better than anyone else. That's oh my God.
No, come on, you're in the wrong pack, right? Come on, you're in the wrong podcast for that, right?
Yeah, but I mean, look at the people you've had on your show. Period. Mayor just dwarfs me in knowledge, and the guy graduated years after me, and in college, and I've been coaching longer than him, but I think he's seen and played higher level and knows better volleyball than I do, right? So what we need to learn to do is just to say what we see as analysts, keep it simple, and make it fun for people. And when those adjustments happen, they happen. To go back to something that you had asked me on the phone earlier, and I didn't touch on it before, back to the COVID thing. The NCAA is allowing for seniors who lost this season
Rob and I,
COVID to come back next year, right?
Rob and I. Let me interrupt you for a second, Rob. Remember we were talking about that last week, and that was one of our good idea, bad idea things. Yeah. Cut in on that, Rob. Think good idea, right?
Yeah, no, I think that just it should be for all players, because I think, regardless, you're losing a year somewhere, unless it's freshmen coming in. But you're a sophomore, you're a junior, you're also losing a year, or also losing that time, So I think it would be good for all players, or all student athletes. But yeah, I understand why seniors in the short term of things.
Yeah. Rob, do me a favor. If Miranda's around, Duran said we lost sound somewhere in the middle of the podcast. I just want to make sure it came back. I don't know if this is what she does in her leisure. Yeah, Patrick, you were talking about the redshirting, NCAA. That's where That's where we left off.
Yeah, no, I agree with Rob. I mean, in the short term, it does help out, and it is a thing. It is a thing that allows those seniors to come back. But I'm going to see it as a D3 coach, right? As a D3 coach, I have a fifth-year senior who's going to come back to my school and possibly play for me, but he has to get accepted into our master's program, and he has to take 12 credits, or she has to take 12 credits. And why would they stay with me when they're going to get an opportunity to go to another school and maybe get into that school's grad program and have another year? It's
Yeah, he was on. John was on yesterday.
The logistics behind the scolies, the scholarships that are going to come up, is an issue. Is the NCAA going to allow a school the additional scholarships to hold on to those players? Or can those players leave and get a fifth year someplace else? Or can a kid who's been at a D3 school like Springfield or New Paltz or Stevenson or Stevens or NYU be able to transfer to a smaller school like a Mount St. Vincent, like a St. Joe's Patchogue, like a Cairn, like a Font-Bon?
Yeah.
Get that fifth year and strengthen that school because they got into that school's grad program, and now we might have a little bit of awkward parity across the board in Division III, but does it help that kid maintain their status going to another school, but they only have it for 1 year? Is it really a true benefit, or is it just another piecemeal thing? It's like, oh, hey, you got screwed, but we're going to give you this because it's the only thing we really can give you. If for the scholarship kids it's different, for the Division III kids it's absolutely different.
Yeah.
It's going to be weighed differently, I think.
Yeah, I also think a lot of those kids who are academics they're already seniors. They got stuff to do with their life. You look at Stevens Tech, right? Post-graduation hire, right? They're not going to stick around another year just to play volleyball, or maybe for that other Patrick.
Pat Dewalski's done a great job at that school every year. Since I was in college.
Yeah, Rob, when you coached Baruch, you played Stevens, right?
We played Stevens once at Stevens.
That's a tough team to beat in Jersey, my man.
Yeah, it was a difficult play, but I think that's what's great about that conference is that every team really does. We were severely undersized and skilled for that age, let's just say. But it was always a possibility to be able to play against. Like, nobody was too out of another person's league. You know what I mean? Even though Stevens is always at the top of the league, they're still always beatable. Springfield, I feel like, still always beatable. It's not like they're
definitely
just so outrageous that they should, be clinging on to like a D2, D1 kind of a... Yeah.
Well, that's just... To me, that's the coaching staff too. Charlie Sullivan is a real coach. A guy who's a lacrosse player that just learned the game, came up, kept the practices competitive. The man has zero loyalty as far as who he chooses to start, and I guess because the kids that are going there, this whole iron sharpens iron thing is going on, and that's what's kept them competitive. Like, if you look at them, they could easily play D2 or D1. All of their programs, their football team's good, their basketball team's good, and I don't know. Maybe at some point they're going to do that. So Patrick.
Yes, sir.
So Pat, we're going to move on with our show. We got other subject matter, but I wanted to take the time to say thank you for calling in. It was one of those things. You were 7 minutes early, but I was like, what the hell? Let's get this guy now, man.
Let's do it.
I miss you, and you're in our thoughts and prayers, okay? And I want you to stay safe out there.
Same, brother. I hope you, that beautiful little baby girl of yours, your awesome lady, and everyone is safe out there. Don't go crazy. Rob, keep flying, brother. Your hair's getting blonder. The freckles are getting brighter.
Yeah, man.
But you look like you're having fun out there,
this is pretty much how Jesus looked. This is how Jesus looked.
I don't look at my hair. My hair just goes brighter, That's all happens.
All right, cool. Thanks, Pat. Later.
Thank you so much for having me on.
All right, peace.
Have a good one.
All right, here we go. Hey, Rob, thanks for sticking it out. That was supposed to happen somewhere after our topics, but it's always fun to have him on the on the line. He's one of those deep voice guys too. So.
Yeah, it makes me not so deep.
You ever want to test You ever want to test your mic? Look no further than Patrick, Daddy Dietz. We were roommates for 3 years. I was a little background. I was his coach, his NCAA coach. At City Tech, he in 2000 he won Offensive Player of the Year by Northeastern Collegiate. Like, if you looked at some of the D1 teams, they played more sets than him, but if you look at the number of attempts, it was almost even. So, great player, Turned into a great coach, beautiful mind. Here we go. Hey, let's man, Miranda's with us in spirit, isn't she?
Yeah. Emoji faces and all.
All right, so check it out. All right, topic number 2. This year of NFL free agency has been one of the more exciting years to date.
Yes, it has.
From Super Bowl quarterbacks to Pro Bowl receivers and running backs to everything else in between. Rob, who, in your opinion, is the best free agent pickup to date?
Ooh. Best free agent pickup to date. Man, I mean, obviously Tom Brady is top of the list. You know, that was crazy to see. But I still feel like he could have probably gone to a better team. I still feel like maybe he would have reached out to the Tennessee Titans a little sooner. I would have loved to have seen that.
Ooh, Vrabel is the coach too, huh?
Yeah, Vrabel's the coach, and you got that Derrick Henry. You know, you can't beat that. Past that, I thought this whole free agency was a great. It's just been so many trades, been so many. It's been a great combine. There's been, I guess it's because a lot of other sports haven't been around, but I thought this whole free agency, I don't think there's anything one in particular. I think Tom Brady just kind of stole the show, so it's kind of hard not to think that's the biggest one. I mean, that's going to shift the league. You know, you got Drew Brees coming back again. You know, you got a couple pieces getting put around him. I just think that this is going to be a really awesome year for the league. And I'm super excited to see what's going to happen. I mean, I really like the next topic we're going to talk about, but we're going to keep that where it is.
Yeah, keep it wraps because we're staring in that direction,
man.
okay?
But I'm really, really, really excited to look at what's going to happen after this draft. I feel like the free agency will show a little bit more about what they've done after the draft. I kind of usually wait till then. But, yeah, I'm super excited for what the season's going to hold.
Hey, Rob McLean. Because the answer is obvious for the both of us, allow me to steer it a different direction just for fun. We talked a week ago about Phil Rivers going to the Colts. Like, good idea, bad idea. Both of us thought it was a good idea, and guess what? There he is. The man's a Colts right now. The man has a good core of receivers, a solid coaching staff. The Colts have a good leader that can call audibles. And let me tell you something, if this guy can coach Brissett and win games with him, he can definitely do a bunch of good things with Phil Rivers. The Chargers became a little bit stale for Rivers. He didn't want to be there. The Chargers themselves didn't even want to be there. And it was one of those things where every time there was no such thing as a home game. There was no emotional connection. And Philip Rivers strikes me as the type of quarterback where you have to have some kind of emotional connection to keep him charged up. You know, he self-charges, but he feeds off of people that have this that even show the illusion of caring. Yeah, you can see that there's no place in this world where that man would rather be than on a football field, and really the only difference is just to change the zip code, and every other difference is significant improvement.
Well, you know, and I also think that Philip Rivers probably should have had a change of scenery a long time ago. I think that it'll just show, like, he'll have a great year this year, maybe for the next two maybe 3 years, but past that, he's not going to have great years because he's a little too past his time. But the other thing is that when you have a different change of scenery, you have the opportunity to reinvent yourself, right? You have a different team, you have a different, like you're saying, different cast of wide receivers, different defense. I think that's huge. Even though the Chargers have a great young defense, they had a long time where there's no good defense in the Chargers. So it's great to see him in another team. I'm super happy to see that. I'd like the whole team around him. I really love that defense. That defense, I think, will be a changing aspect in his career. So love to see it. Can't wait to see what happens. I am super excited for this NFL season.
Yeah, man, me too. That's listen, I mean, it's almost like the topic is going to be 1 and 1A because we're going to the next thing. So, Tom Brady, last week, has committed to play for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and as of today, signed a 2-year, $50 million contract. Rob,
That's how it
this
is,
this
man.
bar this deal this how could I say this? What do they call it? The house special or the hometown special that he's
Oh yeah,
given the
yeah.
Patriots.
Nah,
He's
he ain't getting it.
officially given to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So my question is this
I
just
don't.
Tom being Tom, or was this a slate on New England?
But honestly, though, if you think about it, a 40-something-year-old quarterback. Yeah, I know that they took it to the Super Bowl and all, but with both parties being considered, that like, how he performed and then where he got to, I think that this is a fantastic deal for him. You know, you can't go to somebody saying, "I want this much amount of money," not being able to prove what you physically were capable on the field, and then say that I'm going to give it to you for another 2-3 years. I think this is great for both sides. I always like 2-year deals because it has a little bit of security. It has a little bit of, you can earn a little bit. You can push the envelope maybe on the next contract. And so I think it's great for Tom Brady. I think it's great for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think he did give him a little bit of a discount because he did want to have a certain bit of a say. He did want to stay on the East Coast. He did want to make it easier for the family, the kids. He did want to have maybe some more favorable weather, for more times out of the year. He doesn't really need to be toughened up, by the winter anymore. So I think it was just a meeting of both parties where, I can have it quick too. I don't have to last through a whole bunch of different trips, and it might go here, it might go there, big decision here, big decision there. Like, no, it has all the things that check out of my checkbox, and everything else is, it is what it is. You give me 25 in 2 years, I'll take it. Okay. I think it's great, man. New England, on the other hand, they in trouble, but,
Rob.
the one thing I say is who's going to be backing them up. But okay, keep it going.
No. You done? My turn?
I'm good. I'm finished.
Rob McLean. Of course it's a slate on the New England Patriots. This man, Tom Brady, my boyfriend's back bigger than before. Hey la, my boyfriend's back. Tom Brady took the hometown discount year after year after year after year under some kind of unfounded promissory note that the Patriots would allocate those funds and those resources to recruiting some talent. And the last decade, what has the Patriots done? The last good wide receiver they had was Ocho Cinco, who was long at the tooth that got him to the second Super Bowl. And before that, Randy Moss in his prime, which led to an almost perfect season. That's what that man does with one receiver. All right? So, the last 10 years, hey, bargain basement, got you. Bargain deal, hometown discount. Who you going to pay? Oh, that guy up there, who's I don't know, that guy from Dorchester up in the stands we brought down to wide receive. Short little white guys that take a whole bunch of shots to the head, only good for 2 seasons. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman was like a broken down version of himself. It finally caught up to him. That man was catching balls, getting nailed by 4 people at a time. So, of course, Tom Brady's going to do the hometown discount because this way, and for this team, guess what? He's got some talent. He's got some wide receivers.
He's never thrown to a guy as talented as Mike Evans. And, I mean, in their prime talented, because obviously Randy Moss, but Mike Evans can do a lot more than what Randy Moss
Mike Evans has longevity without the tude. Without the divaness. Why do you think he's not? Why do you think Evans isn't in the news? He's on your fantasy team. He's on your fantasy team, but he ain't going to be in the news.
True.
Listen, of course it's a slight against New England. This is his way of saying, listen, Robert Kraft, you're like a father to me, but sometimes the child has to leave the house. The birds got to fly the coop. Daddy, I love you, and I'll come back for Thanksgiving. But for now, I'm taking a hometown discount, and I'm getting my nut back.
It's true. And I'm glad for him because, man, he's put down for a lot of people. He's put amazing times. Whether you hate it or you respect it, he's put a lot of amazing football games on the field. And whether you can just expect it and he does it, which is even crazier, or he just does it.
And in my opinion, he has a 2-year contract right now. I think it's good for 2 more years. I think he's one of these guys that didn't sustain a lot of damage, that does a really good job taking care of him, taking care of his body, and yeah. 2-year contract, damn right. Everybody wins in that one. The Tampa Bay's got a good quarterback and 2 shots at winning the Super Bowl. Tough division. Tough division though. They got a little bit weaker with Cam Newton leaving, where I think we're gonna go to next. No, we'll save that for good idea, bad idea. How you feel about that, Rob?
Oh, I'm feeling good with it, man.
All right, hey. Here we go. More NFL, Rob.
Yeah, man.
DeAndre Hopkins trade to the Arizona Cardinals is still buzzing in the news cycle. Rob, how's this going to affect Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson going forward?
Man, I feel so bad for Deshaun Watson. You know, he got drafted into one of the most, like the best spots to be drafted into. Obviously, let's not talk about the head coach / GM because I think he's just destroyed that team. I was really happy when he got there, but let's not talk about him. He had an Arian Foster, maybe come back, maybe not. He had a good offensive line. He had a good defense. He had a J.J. Watt coming back. Now, 2 years down the line, he's had 1 year where he had to stop because of torn ACL. And last year, they just really didn't make anything of it. They had a great run at the end, but they didn't really make, they were, I think, like 4-7 until they turned it on. So it's really tough to say that you lose your top receiver, who they really did get it going on, but they didn't have the tight end to kind of make it happen. They didn't really have that running game to really push them forward. So as a full offense, they couldn't really go forward. Now they're going to take away one of their most integral pieces. I just don't see what they're thinking. And then what they got back for it, which is a third and a fourth or a third and a fifth round pick, which is just ridiculous for one of the best receivers in the game. When Stephon Diggs got a first round pick, last week.
Oh, listen,
Stephon
he's going
Diggs.
to Buffalo.
Oh, man. Yeah, so you're happy about that, but...
Hey, let's go, Buffalo.
How much you guys give up for him, though? Like a first and a third?
Maybe I do that for Evans.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but still, it's worth getting a number one. And Stephon Diggs, whether he thinks he's a number one or whether he's actually number one, he's a number one. Yeah. You got to have that confidence. He has the athleticism.
Well, if you have a good receiving tandem like him and Thielen and an unselfish quarterback who's sharing the love, and you still put up your numbers, that says a lot about Diggs. So,
but last thing, that's the thing I really liked about Stephon Diggs too, is that he's a guy that can get away from his defender when a quarterback gets out of the pocket, and can find some space and allow somebody to throw the ball down the field in a broken play situation.
Yeah.
So. Really big for a type of Jared Allen, Allen type of guy who, gets out of the pocket, can kind of extend the play, and then, finds a guy 80 yards or, 60 yards down the field.
And Allen is a mobile quarterback too, so he can create time for a long ball or for someone to create such separation. And to date, I think you'll agree with me, Allen hasn't had a receiver that can create that separation until Diggs came. So it might be it's not the final piece to the missing puzzle, but I think right now, without Tom Brady in that conference, I think the Buffalo Bills are heavily favored to at least win the AFC East. Did I say least?
Still.
So, getting back to this DeAndre Hopkins thing. DeAndre Hopkins sent a tweet out. Cryptic. Can't even make anything of it. And before I say what I got to say, I want to read it to you, and I want you to tell me what you think. I don't know how I'm going to make it out of here clean. Can't even keep track of who plays for the other team. Iconic duos rip and split at the seams. That's a Drake quote. For anyone who knows their rap music or hip hop. I don't know what that means. I think that's his way of saying, I didn't want Hopkins to go. I'm a little crushed, man. And maybe Hopkins was a little bit more than just a wide receiver. Sometimes you become emotionally invested in these people. You'll be a lot of people will be surprised to know, Rob, that the games that the teams that have the most success, at some point they start caring about each other, and that makes you play harder for each other on the field. So, him leaving is just business, but to Deshawn Watson, this seemed highly personal.
No, definitely. It's very disappointing. But on the flip side of it, DeAndre Hopkins is going to a perfect opportunity for him. A brand new offense, loving to run, loving to move the football around, loves to throw. He like great hands, likes to get himself open. So I think it's going to work out fantastically for them. And the Texans are just going back into the black hole. They're just ever since Bill O'Brien got there, it's just been terrible. Terrible or good.
Not a big fan, are you?
I'm not a big fan of him. I'm a big fan of all their players. But if all the other coaches somehow find a way to get fired, but Jason Garrett barely finds a way to get fired. Who else is terrible? I'm just saying, there's a lot of coaches out there that probably should get fired maybe a little sooner than later, and they don't, and then they get a job right away. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. Jason Garrett is the Giants' offensive coordinator a day after they freaking failure of 7,
how some people
8
land a
years.
job like that is, I guess. Yeah. Well, a lot of these head coaches get fired. They do land somewhere. It's just not. It's a lot of people don't notice it because it's not news. It's not at the top of the news cycle. So, but like we said in the beginning, very exciting time, right? For free agent pickups. You had Brady to the Bucks, Hopkins, Diggs. You had Rivers to the Colts. Mariota just signed a 2-year deal with the Tennessee Titans. Got Bridgewater going to Carolina, which we're gonna get.
Mariota's going to the Raiders.
Oh, that's who it was.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's gonna be a really good one.
Under Gruden. Oh man, I hope that boy got thick skin. Ebron, good tight end going to the Steelers. Sanders, Emmanuel Sanders leaving the 49ers, going to the Saints. And that's a big addition for Drew Brees and for Thomas. All right, so let's finish our first segment. We're doing our little 1-minute lightning round thing, and it's called
Good idea, bad idea.
That's right. With some success, here we go again. Starting my timer. Starting my timer to, let's call it 1 minute. 1 minute. I hear the giggle in the back. I hear Miranda in the back waiting for the ding dong.
Close.
All right.
Giggling close.
Good idea, bad idea, Rob. Here's our 1 minute starting right after the question. Antonio Brown should join Brady and the Bucks.
Antonio Brown. Good idea. Good idea. I think Brady is a good influence on a lot of people. I think it's not just Bill Belichick, and I think he'll just keep him straight, or get him out of town. I think the Bucks are notorious for getting some bad attitudes in there, getting the best of them, and getting them out. So, what you got?
Listen. Good idea for Antonio Brown, because any team that he can get in the NFL right now would be a good idea. Bad idea for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If you want to talk about taking a chance, there is not a single entity as far as elite athletes are concerned in football, never mind any other sport, that can destroy a team with faster speed right now than Antonio Brown. So listen, it's someone that Brady can throw to, but you got too many people. He's not gonna be happy. No way is Antonio Brown gonna share the ball with Evans and Godwin and God knows who else.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just gonna have to do the ding dong. What the hell? Didn't go off. Boo.
Ding.
Boo. All right, let's do this. Get rid of this do not disturb thing. All right, hey, good idea, bad idea. The Panthers released Cam Newton.
You want to go first?
Well, yeah, I think it's a good idea. I mean, the writing's on the wall, right? You bring in Teddy Bridgewater. You're not bringing him in to be a backup. Right now, Teddy Bridgewater was 5-0 under the Saints. I guess it had a lot to do with good coaching, but the man can throw, the man can run, and the man he's always been good. And a lot of people were just uber curious to see where how far he can go with a good team, and now he's got a good team and a good coach. Matt Rule, he's gonna do good things with Carolina. And Cam, where's he gonna go? Your turn.
Yeah, I mean, I would really love to see where Cam goes, but for me, I think it is the only way it's a good idea is if Cam Newton's hurt. If not, always a bad idea. He's just, that good of a talent. But I'd have to say, without hindsight, it's a good idea.
Yeah, where to?
Well, we were talking. I mean, I would love to see him go to New England. I think that would be fantastic. That would be pretty damn cool. I think if he's healthy, Belichick can always find a way for him to maximize his ability. And I think that's always what he's been looking for as a player, is just someone to maximize his ability, not just to take advantage of it. So,
agreed. All right, good idea, good bad idea. Rob McLean. The UFC is looking for another venue for UFC 249. That is Ferguson against Khabib Nurmagomedov. That was originally scheduled to be April 18th. Good idea, bad idea. Looking for a new venue, same time or equivalent.
Well, good idea, because I feel like all these professional sports could just have no fans there. And I'm not saying they have to, but I think they can at least look at that, especially in the coming weeks, of getting things started up again. Without having fans there. I mean, I know it's, the teams themselves, but you can distance yourselves. And, I'm just saying the professional sports area, I feel like, especially, fighting when there's only two people in the ring, there's a referee, there's a bunch of people on the outside. As long as everybody tests out, maybe 2 weeks before they fight, you know what I mean, then it seems like you can probably have everybody there. So I think it's a good idea, and they're trying to keep their business going and make things work.
So, Rob, for the people who have been salivating at the mouth risking coronavirus because they waited so many opportunities to see this match, if it's a venue, if it's an empty arena, I think it's a good idea. These guys delayed their match 4 times. This match is 5 minutes in 5 years in the making. Long overdue.
Yeah, it is. There we go. We got a ding.
Yeah, man, our timing was good,
one.
huh? Emmanuel Sanders is going to the Saints. Good idea or bad idea?
Great idea. They need a number 2 behind Michael Thomas so badly. It's actually hilarious how Michael Thomas finally got paid. He's been the best receiver in the league, production-wise as well as measurable-wise, for at least 3-4 years now, and nobody's gave him any credit because he puts up numbers with only himself there. List all the guys who's getting passes that are making any type of money on that roster. It's only him. It's Alvin Kamara. That's it. And that was only it this year. Before that, they had a little bit of Mark Ingram, but that's all they have is Michael Thomas.
It's not, Rob. It's not just a good idea, like you said. It's a great idea.
It's absolutely.
It's supposed to be a debate show, but that is a great idea. It's a West Coast style offense. You got running backs that could catch the ball, and he complements them perfectly. And I think right now he might be just what Drew Brees needs to get past the NFC Championship game and get back to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
That is, if Tom Brady can stop him, or Tom Brady can't stop him. Oh, Rob.
Hey, Tampa put up a lot of numbers last year against people. Like, people don't like they. I mean, before the Rams got thrown on the bus for being a bad organization, putting their money in the wrong places, they crushed them. They went to LA and crushed them like 56-14, and then that was like the downfall of the Rams. But with the Jameis Winston, they put a smacking on teams. Like last year, they beat some teams that you would not expect them to beat. And they did that with Jameis Winston, so I can only imagine what's going to happen with Tom Brady.
No doubt.
So,
no, for sure. Hey, we did it. Hey, that wraps up episode 9 of Sports Debate Tuesday. Rob McLean joining me via the magic of FaceTime. Nice, smooth, crystal clear definition coming up on my screen. I will have to get someone to figure out how we do a split screen, because I think between the both of us we kind of fell in love with that. We'll make that happen next time. But for all of you at home, thank you for joining us. Glad we can entertain you for another week. And no virus stops us, huh? We just keep on going. Love finds a way, my man.
Absolutely, man. You have a great one.
All right, cool. Hey, for all of you at home, for all of you on your iPads, not at Starbucks, but in your house, cooped up, for all of you watching the AVP exercise at home and manage to get us in between, for Rob, keep it McLean, I am Jason DeBillius, and I say, love you. So long. We're out. Come check out the Option Podcast on OptionVB.com. It's also available on iTunes and Spotify, and on YouTube under the NY Varsity Sports handle. You're going to love what you hear.